Well, now we're going to work. Okay. Some things just never change. Got to do a tiny little bit of maintenance before we start. Wants to drag. Did a little bit of work earlier. So we're going to give it a little whack because some of what we're going to do is going to be wet wood. A little simple little Johnson's paste wax does the trick. Gets lots of black gunky stuff off of it. Maybe he cleaned it first, but now let's see where it slides. Ah, much better. Much better. Okay. I forgot to. I'm gonna finish up the piece from last week first, since it got all lacquered up this week. So there's our back from last week. This should have been blacker. Would have made it show a little bit better. Probably doesn't really show very well on the screen. This is more gold. This is supposed to be like a green to a gold, but it seems like the gold must be the very dominant one. All we got to do to this now is clean out the inside, and it will be done. And keyboard. Put my camera back over by the grinder because we're gonna have to sharpen tools first. That don't look too bad. So I can move forward just a little bit. We'll sharpen some tools up and get moving. Got a fair amount that we want to try and get done, so but we gotta have sharp tools to do it. I was already messing around a little bit earlier, so we're sharpening a couple old gouges up. That one should be all right. It's already sharp, so looks like we only have to do the one. So we'll jump over here and sharpen this quick. And get moving and grooving. I'm going to be all about bowls tonight because got some nice fresh catalpa this morning. Already did one of them, so I got a couple more of them that I want to do. Getting a little bit of a Ahead of myself there. It's getting a little bit of a beak on it. Don't want that. Get rid of some of the heel. We're going to go to the inside. So we'll shorten the bevel up. Make it easier to make the tighter curve that we're going to make in there. Should have cleaned the chips away before I opened that drawer. Handle's already out. So we need to there. Hi, Dennis and Pam. I guess you're going to trying to say that Dennis and Pam are watching. Like this. You want to see how big of a mess somebody can make in a hurry? That'd be me. This is ash. It's going to be dusty, so we will have dust collection right from the start. I don't really need the big tool rest, but that's what's on. That's what we're going to use. How are you tonight? Should take time to wash the face shield, but it all looks better when it's dirty. Dust collection on. That'll bring her up to speed. Get moving. See whether it knocks the edge off of this tool in a hurry, because lacquer is not very friendly to the edge of the tool. See where we're at as far as out here. Make sure I get out far enough. I think I gotta go out just a little bit further. I'd like to sort of give it a little bit of an undercut on that. Camera's kind of going to be in the road of that one, but that's got it. Check and make sure what we're doing before we get too far ahead of ourselves. That'll be fine. It's going to be fairly chunky little bowl since it's got a big rim. Still got plenty of meat in there. I'm gonna sound like it's thin, but it's not. How are you doing this fine evening? Mm-hmm. Left the rig. Everybody, Billy Bird, he's on YouTube. That probably makes it confusing for people that I'm talking to somebody and they don't understand. He's on YouTube. I thought I did. Billy, are you done with the cruising on the cruise ships? Looks like you went to some neat places. If you like cruise ships, I guess. So that's our inside done. Give it a sand. And we'll get on to making a mess. I'm going to change something here quick. Oh, the headset says it's at 100%. Huh. I guess not. Slow our speed down to sand. Yeah, Billy. I don't know. You can't take it with you. That's what they keep telling me. Yep, it is. You gotta enjoy it while you got it, I guess. Well, life can be short, so piece of sandpaper is losing its Velcro grip. More. Left a bit of a line up there. Looks like I need to get my soft pad out. It's not quite doing what I wanted to do. The back is grit even on that. Might have to. Yeah, Billy, this piece of ash. Been dyed and grain filled on the back, or in the rim in the back. That was last week's project. I did that on stream. I shot it with a couple coats of lacquer this week. And we'll get this finished up on the inside here. Yeah, so this was coming out pretty nice. I'm pretty well pleased with it. I'm a little bit disappointed in the chameleon grain filler stuff. I don't know if it's quite worth the money, but it's definitely when you move it around in the right light, it definitely shows up the couple different colors that it is. I was being lazy last week and I didn't get the airbrush out and pick that little sharp edge a little bit. And I should have because I didn't get it quite as black as what I would have liked it to have been. At least, especially more so on the back than on the front. I think that'll do it. Rid of the noise maker. I mean, all in all, it looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and finish inside of this. I'll have to take the tinning off another day, I guess. I normally grab that with a vacuum chuck to take the back off. But we'll just move along. Finished it up another day. Add another one to the UFO pile. So I can get on to making a big mess. Typical finish, 3408 Parfix. A little pad. Soak it on. Whatever that little white line in there is, it's smooth, but it's seems like it's going to stay there. Nice liberal coat. And we'll wipe off the excess. Not a lot of excess on this. Ash is pretty porous, so it soaks it in pretty good. That's all there is to it. I'm not going to spray any accelerator on that because I don't think the last time I sprayed some accelerator on the lacquer, it didn't like it. So we'll just let it set up on its own. I don't need to worry about it here because I have enough humidity. So I can show you the back. The back. Let me see if I can tell you what colors they are supposed to be. I think the black is the blue. Wait a minute. Which one was it? Now this was teal purple on the back. It's really more teal than it is purple. I can't really get anywhere that I can see any purple. Yeah, it's not. I don't know. I got to keep playing with them because it's definitely not as drastic of a change. You want to see the back again? Well, it's a teal, and yeah, I mean, if you get it in the right orientation, you can see some of the maybe little hints of purple, but yeah, it's not quite as drastic as I would have hoped it to be, I guess I should say. But it is what it is, so just keep trying. I would have probably would have played some more with that, but since we got all this wet wood to contend with, and since it's spring, my wood rack that's down behind my retaining wall decided it should fall over. Really didn't, after screwing around with sawing wood this morning, back was a little stiff, so I decided I would not go and tackle that. So I'm going to go and jump into some nice wet catalpa. And we'll go back to overhead. This is interesting. This I'm not gonna do. I don't think this is not definitely not gonna be natural edge. Got some little holes there for some reason. It almost looks like there's a line running around. Like maybe there's some of that wind shake or something like that in there. So I'm thinking this one has the possibility of coming apart. Well, it's very light when it's dry, from what I remember. It's been years since I've gotten this thing. It was I got it years ago. The guy gave me a piece and super light. The light brown in color once it's dry. It's rather soft. We'll give it a whirl. We're just gonna, especially with this one, we're gonna make this just a flat rim bowl. So all I'm gonna do right now is flatten off this face, give myself a place to grab it with the chuck, and we'll flip it around and get rid of all the bark and stuff from the other side once I flip it around. Not very well in balance, of course, either, but we can live with that part. We'll just start out nice and slow. And Billy, like I say, it's been years since I've had any of that. Pull my little earbud off and can't get it back on. I'm sure we're not going to be able to get any kind of very little speed out of it, which is okay. It just makes me have to work a little harder. Pay attention to what I'm doing a little bit more. Stuff cuts like butter, though. That's for sure. Get a place to put the chuck on it. Could use the really big chuck even, I think. That's the bigger the grip, the better, I guess. Yeah, we'll use the 4-inch drills instead for that side. Maybe even on the other side as well. Just scoop out a little place, and it would make more sense probably if we went to there, especially if we remove the camera where it belongs. There we go. This is a little bit extra messing about in a way, but I think to me, it works for me, and that's really what's always what the important part is, whatever works for you. I mean, something like that, I probably could have used a worm screw, but I can't seem to ever get it to where I drill the right size hole the first time around. I usually end up getting caught and picking tight that I gotta use a wrench to get the worm screw back out of the wood. So I don't use them very often. Nice solid push in the center. Tighten up all the way around. Yeah, this line comes around. It's like there was a little bit of something there. It's like I say, we definitely will be staying out of the line of fire on this one because of that. And probably, if I can, I'm going to make, well, I know I'm going to be able to switch tool rest a little shorter and keep the tail stock up on this one. Maybe it'll keep the piece together in case it decides it wants to come off. Not enough room. Okay. And I think just for the heck of it, we'll go back to our 5/8 gouge, which is what I was using earlier with this. Because it is so soft, I might as well make this job as quick as I can, quick and easy. So probably even could switch belts and drop it back so I have a little bit more power. Then we can be extra, we can be sort of aggressive. Okay. So we'll start out nice and slow. Like I say, it's not really, or if we're going to get up to about 600 RPMs, we're probably going to be doing good before things start to shake and rattle and all that good stuff. We're going to be able to remove some pretty good amount of material at this point, at this rate. Look at the bark. Nice big ribbons come off of it, so that's one good thing. Has very little, had very little sapwood, so that's kind of one of the bigger reasons that I decided not to do as a natural edge. Plus this little area that a little suspect to maybe coming apart. So now we'll get the outside of this trued up. This we can do left-handed. Not always as gentle as I should be going left-handed, but it's good practice. Should work at it more than what I do. Too much hanging over. I should just turn around and do it the other way, since I am right-handed, but it's got definitely had some Definitely had some bug activity in there, some sort. It's starting to get a little bit more in balance. Able to speed up a little bit. Not quite there yet. Didn't do a very good job cutting on the bandsaw. A little too wide of a blade to turn a short radius like this one was. I just knocked the corners off. There's more activity. As long as we don't have any of that activity that's still there and wants to come out and visit. Definitely wet. I can feel the water spraying. I think we're close enough. Maybe. Tiny little flat there. So got some of the activity of whatever it is in there. Hopefully this don't end up being a very small bowl. It comes down and across. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Now that we're around, we can come back over here and get rid of this corner at least, and then we'll get rid of the tailstock probably. Last little bit of bark. Whatever kind of bugs was creating their home there. Get rid of the corner, so now we'll start making the curve. I'm going to get rid of the tailstock. I can get some things marked. The line follows right up around there to that. Interesting. Not really what I wanted to see, that's for sure. Did end up making a big pile of mulch here for nothing, looks of it. That really looks like that could be a line that they've eaten in through there. Like I say, this thing could probably very easily come apart. Which would make for some little bit of excitement, I guess. Now we're in balance, so now we can bring up our speed, make things a little bit more uniform. A flat bottom, relatively flat. Go back and make a bevel supported cut and see if we can get it cut cleanly so we can make sure we have no little surprises in this area. Looks good. Now the question is, are we going to grab it with that big of jaws? I don't think so. That's going to be a little bit too big for me. So we'll just drop back to the other ones. Be nice if they'd make ones in between that, but they, for whatever reason, don't really do that. Now we'll make our curve. We'll lose a little material here because we need a pennant. Go back to a smaller gouge. Help me get in there a little tighter. It's also sharp. See the difference in the color. We should be able to make this in one little fail swoop the whole way to the top. And we don't drop off the end of the tool rest. It's very wet. Lots of little critter holes. You don't see any of them crawling out, so interesting. This is a piece when I get done tonight. It may very well just go in their microwave for a minute or so. Let's see if any little friends come crawling out to visit. Kind of neat if they don't, and it'd be a little bit of a maybe a little bit of a feature on a ball like this. You'd have something interesting, some sort of fill in there with it. It's clean tenon. Could be a little dovetailed, not the other way around. Give us a little center point. Tenon is plenty deep. Awful. Carried away. A little concave is one thing. I had a lot of concave there. Just a little bit of this. Don't want the tenon to bottom out. We'll have a center point. Not that it really will matter. That should do the trick. Give you a trusty little snap at the end to make sure it locks in place. Some nice golden brown fingers. So I'll put our grain running up and down with the chuck jaws. Flame gives you a little better grip, a little more uniform grip. I think we might. That's a little different there. Get back to a long tool rest. It's kind of a little suspicious whenever, as you can see, it shows up right here. This line goes straight across, and there's a hole there, and there's also a hole lines up back here. So I might just quit playing around with that and just take that ½ inch down and see what's going on with it. It'll give me an idea. I can't move it, so I'm thinking it doesn't go the whole way around. At least I'm hoping it doesn't go the whole way around. Change something so we'll slow it down, bring it back up. See how far we needed to go. Still a hole there, a little hole there. Looks like about another ½ inch down. Should do the trick. Get rid of my razor blade. Okay, at least the top bug holes are gone. Stuff does have kind of an interesting grain to it, but we'll see. Get a little room to move. And we can go over strictly to there. Everything happens on this side. We got to think about how thick we're going to leave it. Probably about right there, about an inch maybe. Once again, razor blade corner. Get my measuring. Like our eyes cooperating. There's definitely some more bug, whatever activity that is right there, coming through. So they must have burrowed, went straight down through there. We'll just keep on motoring and see what happens. Worst case scenario is it flies apart. Should have went over and, the next one I'll go over in the other room and get my drill bit. When I teach these classes, I drill a hole, sort of a depth hole for them, so that they don't get carried away. That also creates another sort of a little bit of an issue, is because there's a hole in the middle, that when they start to swing, they get into that hole, and their tendency is to push hard on everything. That's pretty much about it. Now, if you ever watch Richard Raffin, right here, right about here is where he would switch to a bowl scraper. Don't know that I can do it with wet wood, but I think we're going to give it a try. Since I do have one. I don't use it very much. It is a traditional scraper, it's not a negative rake. And of course, since this is wet, it really doesn't matter if it would sort of tear it up a little bit. And it is homemade, just a piece of high-speed steel, fly cutter for metalworking really is what they are. So we need to be a little higher than that. Wants to be pitched down a little bit. And about there. Nice ribbons coming off of it anyhow. Still don't have quite the right curve on it, I guess, yet. There, I got around that corner. And it does definitely some really nice ribbons. It didn't do too bad for a rough turn bowl. It certainly doesn't need to be fancy and dancy. I do want it to be as even of a wall thickness as what I can get. Bottom can be a shade thinner because there's a tenon down there that's got to dry too. Let's see if we can change things a little bit. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't, dead center, it doesn't usually do a nice job as far for me. I mean, it's not bad, but it's certainly not as cleanly cut as what a gouge would do. But rounded corners, I think that's good enough to go take its nap. Might have to clean up some chips before we even move on. It's the wonders to working with wet wood. For doing this kind of stuff, rough work like this. Makes a mountain of chips in a big hurry. So there's evidence of the whatever's there, was there, or is there. Black spots, holes, right there, there, and there. Like I say, when I get done, I'll probably go over in the other room and throw it in the microwave for something like this. Maybe never hit it for a minute, maybe like 40 seconds, 30 or 40 seconds. Do that a couple times, let it cool off a little bit in between, just to see whether there's any kind of things in there. But we do have another one just sort of just like it. This one here, once again, it doesn't have hardly any sap ring to it. And I do more than enough natural edge bolts. So I think we'll just do that. You can switch trucks. I think we'll give the worm screw a try on this and see what it does. But I think I'll go back to the bigger jaws. Give me more support out there. I just have to get my pattern back out to mark center. And we'll use the one way worm screw. I do have the Vicmark ones as well. Of course, they're all Vicmark chucks. I have umpteen of them. But these are much bigger, much heavier. They're like a 3/8 inch screw, which sort of makes them hold better. Less chance of them bending or anything like that. I said it was just go one size above 3/8 and see how well it threads on. And go back overhead so you see a little bit more what we're doing. Multiple ways of finding where center's at, but it's just as easy, probably easier. 11, so it's 10. So if I take the 10-inch pattern that I had, sort of line it up on there a little bit, and it should be easier. Take something sharp. Mark center, so we know where we're going with that. Our hole, when they're about an inch, doesn't really matter on this piece. Got to make sure it's not going to bottom out. There, more than deep enough. Question will be is whether it's big enough. There. And of course, see all these guys do this while the lathe's running. I've done that already, but I mean, you're always looking for some sort of trouble. That'll work. I'm going to bring up the tailstock. I'm also going to go sharpen the 5/8 inch gouge so that we can make things a little quicker on that end. We'll start out here on the corner, get rid of some of that material. That's where all of our vibration and everything else is going to come from. Now it's the wrong one. We could just be lazy. We'll just switch. I need to go sharpen. I have another one. Wonders of having too many tools. Just switch tools and go sharpen them all at one time. So my bowl scraper still could use to come around the corner a little bit more than what it is, I guess. We'll bring our tool rest in pretty much as close as what we can get for the moment. Make sure nothing's going to hit. We're going to stand off to the side. Turn on a slow speed. I'm going to speed up till we get some sort of vibration. Probably won't be very fast. You're starting to wobble a little bit there at about 6 1/4. Doesn't take long to get way over the tool rest though. Maybe I was thinking wrong. I should have maybe did a natural edge, but oh well. Too late now. The one I did earlier this afternoon was a crotch piece, so it is a natural edge. I'm still sort of going in a little bit of a straight line. Get rid of this bark. Like I say, the wonders of wet wood, and you see this wing is probably 5/8 of an inch long, at least. And that's about how big of a cut we're taking going across there. With no issues. Kind of neat if that little white patch would stay there. But I kind of have my doubts on that. Come on. Thinking cambium layer just sticks right to the end of the gouge. Okay, so let's stop and look at it once. Yeah, it's got rid of all the bark down there, so that we now know that that can be the bottom. So now we can work on making this shape. because we didn't screw up the outside. This one was relatively decently cut from the bandsaw. You have to watch when I get up there because there's definitely some big things sticking out. The bark, a little white patch. It'd be kind of neat if it would do. So now we'll take the Faith and get rid of the tailstock so I can have more access to everything. And just a little bit out of round right there. The rest of it looks like it's getting pretty close to being round. But I also can pick up a little speed. A little bit. So I want to figure out about where I wanted to be for our tenant. I think I'll be better off if I come down a little bit on it. That way I won't break anything out at the top. See, still a little bark. Don't want that. So, not sure I can get quite the curve that I would like to have. To go there. Yes, we can. So I'm going to scribe line. Pretty big. White. It looks like it's only going to be one little white patch. It looks like it's going to remain. This is better than none. I'll come up here and true up the rim. Good enough. Get the rest of it from the other side. I think I will leave it at that for the tenant for that one. Just have to clean it up a bit. You can do it with a spindle guide, you can do it with a parting tool. This parting tool is already ground at the angle of the chuck jaws. We'll leave our center point there somewhat. May be beneficial, may not. It's never a bad thing to have. And make sure we're slight undercut for the chuck. Now, well, that was the right size drill bit. Come off easy enough. So that's a plus. It does make it faster. It's just that, as you can see on this, if I bring it up close, you can see a black line there, a black line there. So that's really only two places that the chuck jaws are sitting on. So this thing could have it was sort of picking up a little bit of a vibration. And that's why, because it's not sitting flush on the face. Kind of look, see which way the grain is run. There's still enough, a little bit of material, probably not enough. Probably could be a little bit bigger as far as a rough turns thing. Because I mean that, if you do it right, then that could be the foot of a finished piece, and then the jaws won't leave any marks. I'm gonna run over in the other room once. I wanna see if some of this is all about, because I'm teaching classes. I'm gonna go get the drill bit that I use for them. I know what I've been doing with them, but I want to look at something else. So this is just a very simple setup. Um, just a drill bit. It's in a handle, a little ferrule, and it's nothing fancy. Anything I've done is I took it over to the corner of the grinder and put little nicks behind where the cutting edge is at, so that when I drill sort of a depth hole, I definitely can't go to that one. I could go to that one, should be about where the bottom would be. The tool rest is too high. Don't really need the tool rest. It just sort of helps to get it started. Should always spin it before you do that. Rubbing on the banjo. That mark. Okay. That is one of the things that I do let the students do if they want to. It's kind of funny because they just look at you like, oh, I don't know about that. I said, you can't drill a crooked hole. And then one guy, older gentleman, looked at me and said, you're out of your mind. I said, no, I'm not out of my mind. I said, you can't drill a crooked hole. I said, I'll show you. And he started to drill. And I said, okay, stop there and now move your hand and try and make it go crooked. And it won't, because when you do that, when you try and go crooked, it wants to spin it right out of your hand. So I said, you can't go crooked. And I've been trying to get these people to understand that the handle has to swing around, but they push hard in that center hole, and if they push too hard and go across the other side, it's going to grab a hold of it, bring it up over, and slam it down. So what I've been doing with them is just making the hole deeper, and then have them do the row of the boat, so to speak. And that way, when it's not going into such a small hole, they seem to make out all right with it. I don't want to go down too deep and leave some support. Because I didn't hit the button. You mean like that? Yeah. Thanks, honey. I get involved in doing what I'm doing and forget things. So once again, we're going to have to determine how thick we want to leave the walls. And that's a big foot. It looks a bit much. That'd be pushing 1.25 inches. I might, in this case, I think I might just leave it at that. Reason being, my little brain's twirling, saying that if I leave it at that, since this one really has no defects or anything like that, and at least none that we can see at this point, that if I leave it thick enough, maybe I could roll this top rim inward or do something different with that, as long as I leave enough material. So I think we're going to leave it a little extra thick. It'll take longer for it to dry, but that's okay. So now we got to get things evened up here. Without running one cut into another. Still, and that's why, because it's a little flatter at the top. Okay. A little bit more room to move. Stop and measure. Measuring's free. So we're good down to about there. So we'll get rid of some more of the middle. Can bring our tool rest in a little bit. Not that it overly helps you that much, but makes you feel better. Get rid of the razor blade. Now that we've left the rim, it's sort of a little bit undercut in a way to match the outside. So you see the chips wanted to stay in there rather than fly out, at least going that direction. There's a bit of an issue with that hole in the middle. It likes, if you're not careful, it wants to break it out. Especially with a newbie, they're usually pushing a little bit harder than they need to. Go down to our hole, and we're going to go just a little bit below it. You see that hole, a little bit of that hole still there, so it wanted to break, which can be throwing the bowl across the room, which I've had them do a couple times. So we're there, but we left the hump out here, which should show up out here that it's thick. It is. The whole thing's a little bit thick right in that from this area down into there. So it should be like one more little cut from maybe in there. Slow the swing down so that we make a more gentle curve. Go right through center, not break center out. Curve on the edge. Reasonable. It really wouldn't be quite reasonable if I was at the point of finishing that. It looks like we're pretty even the whole way through there. If we wanted to be fussy, not with that one. That doesn't have enough curve on it. Let's just switch to the other one. Do have another handle for it, I think. And clean the chips away before we open that drawer. I get tired of sweeping all the chips out of the drawers. Once again, we want to be slightly pitched downhill towards center. Not giant size downhill, just a little bit. Never flat or up. They'll let you know in a hurry if you do something it doesn't like. And the wonders of it is when it lets you know that you did something it doesn't want it to do, it's usually very, very aggressive. That feels better. And actually, since I was so nice to it and not pushing on it, it actually cut it clean, which is half the battle with using this because this one here is, well, let's see, it's 10 mil thick, 30 mil wide, and 200 mil long. So it's pretty thick, it's pretty heavy, and it's on about a 20-inch handle. So it's sort of heavy in some ways. So that also could make it a little bit more cumbersome to use. Easier to drop the handle because it is heavier. So I think that's good. You can tell it's very wet. It leaves black from the chuck jaws on it. But like I say, it's a rough turn bowl, so it'll go in its paper bag for the next year. Something like that. All we have is one more little one to do, so maybe we won't clean up any mess. And if we go, I could have grabbed that on a worm screw. I don't know that I have a little. Oh, that thought. I don't think it's for that chuck though. Maybe I took it apart. I had a little block of wood, or a round piece of wood for that. I still do. That would be thinner. That's actually the Vicmark chuck, or the Vicmark wood screw. That won't work on that one there. Would it? No. So let's see. That would be at least a solid halfway down through, which would be too much. Yeah, too much for that. We'll just go to the next best, simplest way to do it. This side, this piece here was bandsaw cut on that side, so it is nice and flat. So we'll just do the super cheater move, which generally scares the crap out of a lot of people. Surprisingly enough, like the one class I just got taught last month was a candlestick, and this is exactly how we started the base of the candlestick out. Was it was between the live, or yeah, held between the chuck and the live center, just like I'm gonna do here. And I was kind of surprised that none of them. Of course, these people don't really know anything, but not a one of them even remotely looked at me like, "Is this okay to do this?" Which was kind of surprising that they didn't sort of make some sort of a comment. But they all made out just fine. I mean, all we did was, and it's pretty much all I'm going to do, is flatten this face out, put a tenon over here to grab a hold of it with the chuck. And so it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's perfectly safe. Some people might disagree with it, but it has always worked for me. I've never had one come off. And this is going to be small. We're going to go back up to the bigger belt because we're going to be able to spin this piece quite fast. Since it's so little, maybe we will make it so it's really thin. And see how much it works and carries on. Simple peeling cuts just to clean up the face. Take our time when we get out there. We'll make a cleaner cut. Still not quite the whole way out. A little bit more. Because we want to know out here where we're going to go to when we flip it around. We're starting with about 2 inches of material. So we'll drop to the, yeah, we don't need that giant size pennant on that. We'll drop to that size. More than enough. Found out a little material. Raise the tool rest a little bit, and we'll use the parting tool. We're going to create our tennant that we want. Flat place for the jaws to sit. I don't know if I had the right chuck on it would make life easier, but simple little swap-a-rooney. Get the right chuck key, it would help. Up and down. Drops into that little area that I left in there. At least I think it did. A little bit there holding it up. Forgot that. This is definitely not a tennant to it's any size, any much too big. You can see it left a nice black ring around it. There's two little places where the jaws weren't necessarily touching very well. So we can come out here on the outside, staying off to the side as always. Bring up our speed. There's still a little vibration there because it's not round. Work around a pile of chips that's laying on the floor. And just that, like I say, this one was pretty close to round anyhow. So now we're round. Get rid of a little bit of our corner. And now we're actually pretty much in balance, so we can turn it at whatever speed that we're comfortable with. Do not move the tool rest while the machine's running now. I will tell you that. But as long as it's, what I tell the people, as long as it's something that doesn't have irregular shapes sticking out, you're usually pretty safe about doing that. At least I feel you are. Clean up the bottom. Remark a tennant on this side. Very wet. And it doesn't need to be giant size. Quarter. With these this particular chuck manufacturer, these are dovetailed, so a quarter of an inch to grab a hold of on something like this for this size, more than enough. Does that look like it's got a fuzzy on the edge? It does. Stuff, since it is so wet, it isn't necessarily cutting as cleanly as what it would be nice that it would. So let's try our spindle gouge. Clean it up a little bit. Give it a little round. Not like that though. Uh, go to the center. Should have given us a pretty clean cut, maybe. Wet as it is, it might not have. Clean enough. Should have a little, tiny little bit of a center mark though would be good. May help. Nice clean curve. Now the curiosity that killed the cat part. See if the others was allowing it to scrape. I have my doubts on this, but it's sort of grabbing a hold of the edge of the scraper. So we use it as a shear scraper. Didn't do us any justice in there. Not doing us any justice anywhere. So it's not going to scrape being wet. It's a shame. So let's switch to clean cut tool. Different, sort of, really sort of basically the same thing as the bottom bowl gouge. It's a very short bevel. Means that we should be able to cut cleanly from the bottom to the top. It won't take a huge amount of material off. There's nice, real nice fine shavings that comes off of it. I find it a little bit hard to use on the outside and get a nice even curve. I totally didn't get an even curve. Like I said, I need to work more with it. It cuts very fast for one. Feels a little better. There's really no torn grain, so that's the real good part of it. Yeah, a little bit disturbed right there. I was thinking if I could still make it paper thin, I think. I'm not sure whether the light will shine through this or not. Try one last ditch effort kind of a thing. I'll see. Some wood will allow you to sand it. Can't say that I've ever really tried it when it's quite this wet, but it will let you sand pretty damp wood. And nope, it's just gonna clog the sandpaper up. Such is life. It did smooth it up a little bit, but it's just too little too wet. Now we'll see whether when we goofed up that tenant a little bit ago, we'll see whether we're good. Thought maybe because I know I had these set to pretty close to where they need to be to finish out something. So we'll just come back around this side, make sure it's running pretty true. May not be perfect, but it's true enough. Get rid of our sharp little corner right off the bat. Done with our tenant. And here's where we're going to take the 20 seconds out, 30 seconds out, and we're going to go sharpen this because we're going to keep on going and we're going to keep on making it thinner and try and maybe, oh, you know what? I put that light away. Shoot. I don't think this one isn't plugged in either. Not sure. Never really tried it on something that was relatively dark. So I don't know. I'm not sure that will resonate anything. I did buy that cute little light though. That was down at the Tennessee Symposium. One of them, Cindy Dros is making these too, but the guy from Woodturner's Wonders had them down there. That they have little magnets on the back of it, so it's a little LED light. So more so for like box making and things like that. I don't know that necessarily need it for making bowls. Over sharpen this. Probably will shorten the bevel a little bit more. Bevel on this is only on the nose is only about 1/8 of an inch long right now. I'll make sure it goes around a little bit further than what I normally would. Less bevel contact in this case, the longer bevel. Probably can even use the like the 3/8 bowl gouge too, so that we don't put pressure on the outside. Yeah, I don't know. I've had it probably over a month, and it's been sitting here. I'd say it's probably actually the first time I've ever used it. It is. I mean, I don't know. Like I say, I think if you're doing like Cindy does with lots of little lidded boxes and things like that, I think it would be golden for something like that because you'd be able to see more. But it's going to be a situation of, you know, does it, am I going to hit it with a bunch of chips? So that's about a quarter. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of what I bought it for. So there's a quarter. I don't feel like I'm totally as even as I could be right there. The other thing I should have done was sharpened the, you always use the 40-degree gouge. The 40-degree gouge will put less pressure on the outside wall too because of the steeper angle. They just won't go across the bottom of the bowl. Get my light. Switch the other way. Unlock the magnet, I think. Probably going to a lot of work for nothing because I'm fairly sure that it won't work because of it being a darker wood. But we're going to give it a shot. Of course, the challenge is probably going to be where to put this. Not there. Yeah, we come down here. Get our bright light in there. No cord's going to wrap around anything. And we're going to turn that one off. I don't know. I don't have much faith in that as far as it's going to do what I need it to do. Little stages. Yeah, that would make sense. Actually, we could just go to. Yeah, I gotcha. Bad habit. I think the wood's going to be too dark. Well, they're starting to shine through down there. Yep, that's what we're looking for. About eighth of an inch, maybe a little less. Should have been smarter than the average bear and knocked that sharp edge off before I did that. Probably actually should have brought it over on the other side. Okay, so far so good. These are kind of neat when you get them to actually cooperate. No, that's not going to work going that way though. That's the one. That's the downfall of that the 40, as some people would like to call it, 40-40 grind. It does not go across the end, the bottom of the bowl very well. Doesn't like the end grain. I'm not totally sure. That's where the light is not going to do me any good because now it's coming in at an angle. So it feels like it's pretty much consistent right there. So that's just a good place to. Yeah. Well, Billy, you have a nice dinner and a nice evening. That's going to be the last thing we do tonight. Guess we're going to lose an hour of sleep tonight, and tomorrow's a work day. Sounds plenty thin. Yep, a little bit of funky green there. Didn't quite do what it should do. Should still be enough meat there. Famous last words should be. There's a tenon on the back of it, so we have a foot. So we can get down into the foot. That works. That's kind of the other thing that my concern with those little magnetic light is you go moving things around and I'm gonna send it flying. There it is. Oh, go back to there. There it is. It don't get much more flexible than that. Definitely a little bit down into the tenon in the center, which is good. Now Richard Raffin likes to take them and put them in the microwave right off the bat. Might be able to do that yet tonight, but this thing will twist and carry on. It's usually pretty fun. It's more fun to do them in a lighter colored wood though. Something that's the light will resonate through a little bit better than what it did in that. But I would say we're probably less than an eighth. That's catalpa. So, I mean, catalpa doesn't weigh anything to start with. So, yeah, it's be like an airplane flyer or something. Yeah, we're just under an eighth of an inch. It's pretty good. I haven't done that in a while. It's kind of fun to do, but kind of usually a waste of wood to do it because I usually don't manage to get one of these to actually dry without cracking. There's still some meat there. Oh, now we could get really carried away. I was down at the Tennessee Symposium, and now Laurent Nagat, yeah, I think I'm pronouncing it right, has a teeny tiny little set of calipers. Well, the usefulness is not there, so it's fairly thick right where I left. No, not really. It's not quite long enough to reach to the center of that tenon. It's been a whole lot bigger than that. But there again, like I say, if you're into making boxes, this is why I bought them. Little hollow forms and like lidded boxes if you want to be really fussy with them or whatever. It's just a kind of a neat little mini set of calipers. They're only about 8 inches long. Um, I don't know how many they sold. They sold out of them pretty quick. And nobody makes them that small. Okay, let's get rid of this. Let's use this small guy. So we'll just put it in a Bit of a jam chuck. A vacuum would not hold this for sure. This will leave the center point there. Teeny tiny little bit of pressure. Certainly not going to put much force on it. We will also switch over and use spindle gouge. I really want to just get rid of that little bit there and maybe undercut that a little bit yet. Now I'm either really brave or really stupid, one of the two. Not quite enough pressure. Let's see if it'll make it spin. Ah, you dirty little bird. That's not going to quite work that way. Stay. No, can't do that. So we cover up that. Go back to there. Now let's back up. Yeah, it's always a fine line whether you're brave or stupid. Close enough. All I want to do is get rid of that hard line where I had stopped that before. A little undercut. A little roundness. It's probably just created a bunch of fuzzy standing up, probably. But if it works, it clogs the sandpaper up pretty quickly. Can't get it to dry off quick enough. There it is. I would say that's where you quit before you get totally screwed up, and last little bit of sanding can let it dry, and then it'll be stiff. It still has some meat down in this area, a little bit. Just kind of a conversation piece. Take something like that to a craft show or whatever. People have a tendency to pick things up and say, "Wow, that's really light." Well, this thing probably weighs 2 ounces or 3 ounces, especially once it's dry. So that's it. We are going to call it night. I do have to clean up a fair amount of stuff tonight since this stuff is flopping wet. So if anybody has any comments, questions, shoot them out. Otherwise, we're going to call it a night. Certainly don't need to sit here and watch me pick up a whole garbage bag full of chips. Because there are a lot of them. Just don't have to bend over as far to pick up the chutney. So we can show you, in case you just joined. Yeah, you too, Life. I saw you were on this afternoon, but I had some other things to work on. So here's where we're at. We finished this one on the inside. This is the one from last week where it's been dyed black. The grain has been filled. All I have left to do is take the tenon off of that one. Because this is finished in here. It'll need buffed yet, but that's finished. And then we did, these two. These are both, or all three of these are Catalpa. We rough turned 2.5. That one's playing around. So we did them two there. These two will go in their paper bag for a little nap. The real thin one will go in the microwave. So that's what we did this evening. Well, not a whole lot real exciting stuff. Other than that, we are going to call it a night. Let's see, it's 8:15, so that means technically it's 9:15. So it'll soon be time to go to bed. So y'all have a good week, and I will, let's see, I should be here next week. Should be. Um, Going to a carving show in the morning, so, but I should be here next week. So stop back and we'll see you then. Just